Hello, welcome to this presentation on economics and fuel prices. My name is Kyle Herrick and I will be narrating this presentation for you. For the basis of this presentation, information will be shared from my recent paper discussing fuel prices and the impact it has not only on our own business, but also that of our customers and our vendors. Some of the information or recommendations shared may relate back to my experience as a Kaizen leader and through my work with our operational excellence team through Lean Six Sigma principles. Today we will begin with an overview of how fuel prices can affect capitalism as well as our own business and how we play a role in that. We will look at some of the problems specifically facing our own business of the medical and pharmaceutical supply distribution. We will look at some of the data points needed to help us determine the best course of action, and following that we will review how this problem has an effect on not only our business, but that of both our vendors and our customers. We will discuss some recommended next steps that we can take to help drive improvements and to help normalize our budgets despite the fuel price fluctuations. And finally, summarize our discussion. Questions will be held towards the end of the presentation. Here on slide 3, I have a comic that I think is really applicable not only to our current situation, but also to many decisions that we make on a daily basis. Here you have a man choosing to pump gas at a station where the woman is indicating is 10 cents more than the one just 5 minutes down the road. But the caption at the bottom makes a great point. If you spend 9 minutes of your time to save $1, you're working for less than minimum wage. To put that into perspective, all too often we focus on saving a percentage of our fuel budget, and in doing so we increase our spend on labor, inventory holding costs, and other areas without necessarily realizing it. From the comic's perspective, you may save 10 cents per gallon, but if it took you a quarter of a tank of gas just to get there, at $3 a gallon you now have to buy at least 7.5 gallons to make up that difference. Now on top of that, if you took 10 minutes to drive there and back, total, and you make $12 an hour, your labor spent is $2 for that time. Was it really a good deal at that point? We don't really know, so we need to make sure that we're applying this thinking towards our business. What is the true cost of the decisions when we make them? When it comes to fuel cost fluctuations, they have a direct impact on the cost of doing business. This may be true for any business, not just our own. As fuel prices increase, oftentimes you'll see the cost of commodities like milk, eggs, and produce increase with them. From our perspective, that may mean an impact in the prices of cotton, which are used to make bandages, or aluminum for crutches. You can see where I'm going with that. The service industries also experience impact, such as the travel industry. If it costs more to go somewhere, you're less likely to make that trip. Fuel prices often have an impact on the growth of capitalism because business and consumer alike are less likely to spend money when prices are high. Yet at the same time, we have little impact on the pricing of fuel and oil. So it begs the question, what can we do to help sustain our business in these times? Our problem is this. Fluctuating oil and fuel prices make it difficult to budget and control shipping fees both from our vendors and onto our customers. Looking at the graph below, you see fuel prices over the last 10 years. We've seen highs over $4 a gallon and lows down around $1.50. Without a consistency with fuel prices, we need to find other ways to try and normalize our costs and make ourselves as financially efficient as possible. Looking at the impact fuel prices have within our own business, we can see that when fuel prices are high, we really seem to hone in on reducing costs surrounding them. We do things like increase our inventory on hand. We remind everyone to watch their shipping costs, and as a company, we tend to have our budgets stretched to the limits when it comes to shipping. Conversely, when prices are low, we decrease our inventory on hand. Our efficiency of shipping choices seems to fluctuate a little bit, and our processes towards shipping seem to become really relaxed. The question is, why does this happen though? Would it not be more fiscally responsible of our organization to be consistent both when prices are high as well as low? In order to do this, we really need to pull some data on how we conduct our business and ensure that we're following the best practice to be good stewards for our customers, our own business, and make sure we're doing the right things to work with our vendors. Now that we know what the problem is, there are a number of data points that we should look at to try and optimize our business. Do we have proper on-hand inventory levels, for example? Does the cost of holding that inventory outweigh the average cost of shipping? We should also look at things like product lead times and historical usage for the products that we distribute. If we know that nebulizers have a 7-day lead time from the manufacturer via standard shipping freight, and we know that it's the peak of flu season, does it make sense to potentially increase our in-hand supply of those to make sure we don't run out? Looking at all of our products that we distribute and their peak usage histories would be worth our time to make sure we can avoid those expedited shipping costs. It's also important to look at shipment fill rates, both for our customers and from our vendors. If we can evaluate combining shipments from 2 different customers onto one truck, it might be worth our time, especially if both those customers only have a 50% capacity usage on our fleet vehicles. The same should be said for our vendors, considering that they're shipping to nearly 40 different distribution centers within our company nationwide. Other data points that we can try to examine would be our rush shipment history, where we can look for trends that can be eliminated. It would also benefit us to review the criticality of the product that we're distributing. If a customer absolutely cannot go without the product, it would be worth our time to make sure that our inventory of on-hand supply is optimal rather than risk a shortage that would result in higher priced shipping options. For our next steps, I would recommend we form some multidisciplinary teams to look at some key issues to help strengthen our position despite the variability of fuel prices. First, we should create teams that look at right-sizing our inventory on hand, and I would break those down into how we determine the criticality of our supply, a group to review the product usage history, and a team to look at inventory holding costs versus lead times. Once these teams complete their individual tasks, they can be brought together to look at making changes to the inventory that meet the requirements of all the teams involved. The goal is to ensure that the left hand knows what the right hand is doing while the feet carry them around. Another group of teams that we should put together would be set to review the distribution routes and shipping choices we make. Focus areas should be on our inbound as well as our outbound shipment capacity, our optimization of our own distribution routes, and a historical review of expedited shipping to determine where we can prevent it going forward. Again, once individual tasks are completed, we can bring all the teams together so that they can finalize solutions that work for all the parties involved. So in closing, fluctuating fuel prices are going to be a constant in the future, and it is up to us to understand the impact that they have and to do our best to mitigate that impact on our business, but also that of our customers and for our vendors. And we can do this through careful evaluation of our current practices and developing consistency so that we can employ that now as well as in the future. The problem's never going to go away, so we just need to do our best to mitigate it, minimize it, and create success going forward. Thank you for your attention during this presentation. Now would be the most appropriate time for questions if anyone from the audience has any.